Hello, story lovers. Tonight, we're diving into a tale of passion, secrets, and choices that could change everything. Hearts will be broken, love will be tested, and every twist will leave you on the edge of your seat. Comment below where you're watching from. And if this story moves you, hit like, subscribe. Share it with someone who loves a powerful love story. And tap the bell so you never miss the next thrilling chapter. Ready? Let's begin. The Blackwell estate cut into the hillside like a scar. Stone walls rose against the gray October sky, cold and unforgiving. Sophia Martinez stood at the altar in a white dress that felt like a shroud. Adrie and Blackwell waited for her there. Charcoal suit, storm cloud eyes, a face carved from marble and rage. The officiant's voice echoed through the empty chapel. Only immediate family attended. No flowers, no music, no pretense that this was anything but a transaction. You take this woman to be your wife? I do. 2 words, flat as stone. He slid the ring onto her finger. It felt heavy, final. When his lips brushed hers for the ceremonial kiss, they were cold, barely there. A ghost of contact that made her chest tighten with unshed tears. She would not cry. Not for him. 6 months ago, she had been engaged to Daniel Blackwell, Adrian's younger brother, the warm one. The one who laughed easily and painted murals for children and sketched their future on napkins over breakfast. The one who made her believe in gentle, uncomplicated love. The one who died on a rainy Tuesday, night after they fought. She couldn't even remember what the argument was about. Something small, something stupid. But Daniel had grabbed his motorcycle keys and stormed into the rain. 3 hours later, police knocked on her door. He took a curve too fast. The road was slick. He didn't survive. At the funeral, Adrian spoke to her once. His voice was low, meant only for her ears. I killed him. Your petty argument sent him into that storm. He died because of you. The words had burrowed into her chest like shrapnel. Maybe he was right. Maybe she deserved this. The marriage wasn't Adrian's idea. It was his grandfather's will. Old Marcus Blackwell had built an empire and demanded his heir marry within a year of his death. The bride had to be someone already welcomed into the family. Only Sophia fit that description. Adrian could have refused. He could have walked away. But the Blackwell legacy was his religion, his reason for breathing, so he made her an offer. Her father was dying. Heart disease. Surgery they couldn't afford. Medical debt that would bury her family and would pay for everything. Save her father's life. Give her parents security. In exchange, she would marry him. Live in his mansion. Accept the punishment he believed she deserved. She had one night to decide. She sat beside her father's hospital bed and watched his heart struggle on the monitors. There was no choice at all. Now she stood in the Blackwell mansion as Adrian's wife. The reception was silent. Champagne no one drank. Cake no one tasted. Adrie leaned close as guests filtered out. His breath was warm against her ear, but his words were ice. Welcome home, Sophia. I hope you're ready to pay for what you took from me. She met his eyes. Saw the hatred there. The grief twisted into something sharp and cruel. I'm ready for whatever you think I deserve. His jaw tightened. For a moment, something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or respect. Then it was gone. He turned and walked away, leaving her alone in the entrance hall. Stone walls pressed in from all sides. Somewhere upstairs, a door closed with a sound like a cell locking. Martha, the housekeeper, appeared from the shadows. An older woman with kind eyes. Let me show you to your room, dear. Sophia followed her up the grand staircase, down a long hallway lined with family portraits. Past Adrian's closed bedroom door. Martha stopped at the last room. Opened it. Sophia's breath caught. It was Daniel's room. Untouched since his death, his paintings covered the walls. His sketchbooks stacked on the desk. His jacket still hung over the chair. Mr. Blackwell insisted. Martha said softly, I'm so sorry. Sophia stepped inside. The door clicked shut behind her. She sank onto the bed, surrounded by ghosts, and finally let the tears fall. Asterisk. 3 months passed like slow torture. Adrian's cruelty was an art form, precise, calculated. He never raised his voice, never touched her in anger. He didn't need to. At dinner, he told stories about Daniel, childhood memories, inside jokes, always ending with a pointed look across the table. He would still be here if not for you. He bought her expensive dresses, then commented that she looked like a child playing dress-up, that she would never truly belong in his world. The household staff kept their distance, polite but cold. Only Martha showed her kindness. Fresh flowers appeared in her room, tea and quiet companionship when the silence grew too heavy. But something in Sophia refused to break. She had loved Daniel, grieved him, carried the weight of that last argument like stones in her pockets. But she was still alive, still breathing, and she would not disappear just because Audrine Blackwell wanted her to. She started small. When he criticized her appearance, she held his gaze until he looked away first. When he tried to control where she went, she reminded him he had married her, not purchased her. These moments seemed to catch him off guard, as if he had expected her to shatter. One evening, Sophia found herself in his private study, a room she had been forbidden to enter. She stood at the window overlooking the gardens, a glass of his expensive whiskey in her hand. The door opened behind her. "What are you doing in here?" Adrian's voice was low, dangerous. Sophia turned, met his eyes without flinching. "I'm tired of being your ghost, Adrian. I'm tired of haunting this house, neither living nor dead. If you want to punish me, then punish me. Scream at me. Tell me every terrible thing you think I am. But stop treating me like I don't exist." Silence stretched between them. In the lamplight, with her dark hair loose around her shoulders and fire in her green eyes, she looked nothing like the broken woman he had married. She looked alive. Something shifted in his expression. The anger that had sustained him for months faltered, replaced by something more complicated, more dangerous desire. "You want me to treat you like you exist?" His voice came out rough. "Be careful what you wish for, Sophia." He crossed the room in 3 strides, took the glass from her hand, set it aside. They stood so close she could feel the heat radiating from his body, could see his pulse beating at his throat. The air between them crackled with tension that was part hostility and part something neither wanted to name. For one suspended moment, Sophia thought he might kiss her. She couldn't say whether she wanted him to or not. Instead, Adrian stepped back abruptly, turned and left without another word. Sophia stood alone in the study, heart racing, with the disturbing realization that the line between hate and desire was thinner than she had ever imagined. The next morning, everything changed. Benjamin Blackwell breezed into the dining room, all charm and easy smiles. Adrian's cousin, the family disappointment, as he called himself. "Adrian, you dark horse, when did you get married? And why wasn't I invited?" He turned to Sophia with genuine warmth. "I'm Benjamin. You must be incredibly special to have caught my serious cousin's attention." Sophia glanced at Adrian. His face had gone completely blank. "I'm Sophia. The circumstances were unusual. They always are with the Blackwells." Benjamin helped himself to coffee. "We're a dramatic bunch. But marriage? Adrian. I never thought I'd see the day." Daniel would have been thrilled. The room went cold. Adrian's hands clenched around his newspaper. Sophia felt the familiar guilt rise in her throat. But Benjamin didn't look at her with accusation, only kindness. As if Daniel's death was a tragedy, not a crime she had committed. That small crack in the wall of condemnation felt like the first breath of air after drowning. Benjamin started visiting regularly. He made her laugh, treated her like a person, and Adrian watched these interactions with growing irritation. One afternoon, Sophia's phone rang. Thomas Rivera, her best friend from art school, back in the city after 3 years abroad, heard about Daniel. "I'm so sorry, Sophia. And I heard you got married. Can we meet? I've missed you terribly." She agreed immediately, hungry for connection with someone from her old life, someone who knew her as herself. She didn't tell Adrian. She simply left. The cafe was small, warm, filled with mismatched furniture and local art. Thomas looked older, but his smile was the same. They talked for hours. About his exhibitions, her abandoned paintings, the grief they both carried for Daniel. "You look different," Thomas observed. "Harder somehow. Marriage to Adrian Blackwell will do that." Thomas reached across the table, squeezed her hand. "I'm here now, Sophia. Whatever you need, even if it's just someone to remind you that you're still you underneath everything else." She smiled. For the first time in months, it felt real. Neither of them noticed the black sedan parked across the street, or the driver who took careful note of their meeting and immediately made a phone call. Adrian received the news during a board meeting. His assistant's whispered message made his jaw tighten. He left immediately. When Sophia returned home, she found him waiting in the entrance hall. His eyes were cold fire. "Who is Thomas Rivera?" Her stomach dropped. "An old friend?" "From art school. An old friend who holds your hand in public cafes while you're married to me. You had me followed? You're my wife. Everything you do reflects on me. On this family." Sophia's temper flared. "I'm your prisoner, Adrian, not your wife. There's a difference." He moved closer, crowding her against the wall. His voice dropped to something deadly soft. "You think you can humiliate me? Make me look like a fool? I think you're so obsessed with control that you can't stand the idea of me having one afternoon of freedom." His hand slammed against the wall beside her head. She flinched, but held her ground. "You will not see him again. You don't get to decide that. I decide everything in this house, including what happens to you." "Then you're exactly what I thought you were, a tyrant, just like your grandfather." Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. For a moment, she thought she had gone too far. Then he leaned in, his lips almost brushing her ear. "You have no idea what I'm capable of, Sophia. But you're about to find out." He pulled back, left her trembling against the wall. That night, she received a message from Thomas. "I'm sorry. I have to leave the city. It's complicated. Please don't contact me." Sophia stared at the screen. Understanding crashed over her. Adrian had done something. Threatened him. Paid him off. Made him disappear. She found Adrian in his study. Confronted him. "What did you do to Thomas?" He didn't look up from his paperwork. "I removed a problem. He was my friend. It was a distraction." "You don't need friends, Sophia. You need to remember your place." She wanted to scream. To throw something. To hurt him the way he kept hurting her. Instead, she said something that made him finally look up. "I hate you, Adrian Blackwell. But one day, you're going to realize you've become the very thing that destroyed your brother. The thing that makes people run away into storms." His face went white. She turned and walked out, leaving him alone with the truth. Spring arrived with jasmine-scented air and the suffocating weight of 6 months in a prison that looked like a palace. Sophia barely spoke to Adrian anymore. They existed in separate orbits, circling each other with careful distance. But something had shifted after her words about Daniel. She saw it in the way Adrian looked at her now. Less like a target, and more like something he couldn't quite figure out. Benjamin filled the silence with his presence. He visited often, bringing laughter into rooms that had forgotten the sound. One afternoon, he found Sophia in the conservatory, staring at a blank canvas. "You should paint again. I wouldn't know what to create anymore. Just paint what you feel. Even if it's ugly. Especially if it's ugly." She looked at him. Really looked. Benjamin's easy charm hid something deeper. Loss, maybe? Or loneliness. "Why do you keep coming here, Benjamin? You must have better things to do than babysit your cousin's wife." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Maybe I like spending time with the only person in this family who's honest about being damaged." Something passed between them. An understanding. A connection that felt dangerous in its simplicity. Adrian peered in the doorway. Watched them with an expression Sophia couldn't read. "Benjamin." A word now. The cousins disappeared into the study. Sophia heard raised voices. Couldn't make out words, but the anger was clear. When Benjamin left an hour later, he kissed her cheek. A brief, friendly gesture. Be careful, Sophia. My cousin is more complicated than you think. That night, Adrian didn't come to dinner. Martha mentioned he was working late. Again, Sophia went to bed, surrounded by Daniel's things, and wondered if she would spend the rest of her life in this beautiful, terrible limbo. She was drifting toward sleep when her bedroom door opened. Adrian stood in the doorway, backlit by hallway light. He looked exhausted, rumpled in a way she had never seen him. We need to talk. It's midnight, I don't care. He stepped inside, closed the door. The room suddenly felt smaller. Benjamin has feelings for you. Sophia sat up. That's ridiculous. He's been kind to me. That's all. I know my cousin. I know how he looks at you. And how does he look at me, Adrian? Like I'm a person? Is that so strange? You're my wife. I'm your prisoner. You said it yourself. Everything I do reflects on you, on the family. That's all I am to you. A reflection. He moved closer, sat on the edge of her bed. The mattress dipped under his weight. You think I don't see you? I think you see Daniel's ghost. And you hate me for being the reason he's a ghost at all. Silence stretched between them, heavy, charged. I blamed you, Adrian said finally. His voice was raw, unguarded in a way she had never heard. I needed someone to blame because the alternative was blaming myself. Sophia's breath caught. What? Daniel and I fought that day. Before he came to see you, we argued about the will, about grandfather's demands. I told him he was weak for choosing art over the family legacy. I said he was wasting his life on things that didn't matter. Okay. Adrian's hands clenched into fists. He left angry. He went to you angry. And when you fought, he was already raw. Already hurting because of me. Tears burned behind Sophia's eyes. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because it was easier to hate you than to face what I'd done. I married you to punish you. But really I was punishing myself. He looked at her then. Really looked. And she saw something in his eyes that made her chest ache. Guilt, grief, and something else. Something that looked like longing. I don't know how to stop, he whispered. I don't know how to let go of the anger. It's the only thing that makes sense anymore. Sophia reached out, touched his hand. He flinched, but didn't pull away. Then we're both prisoners, Adrian. You've just been here longer than me. His fingers closed around hers, tentative, almost gentle for a moment. They sat in the darkness, two people broken by the same loss, holding on to each other like lifelines. Then Adrian pulled away. Stood abruptly. I shouldn't have come here, Adrian. But he was already gone. The door closing behind him with a soft click. Sophia lay back down, her hands still warm from his touch, and wondered if anything between them could ever be. Simple. The answer came 2 days later. She was having lunch with Benjamin. In the garden when a woman appeared at the gate, tall, elegant, with dark hair and cold eyes. Benjamin, darling, we need to talk. Benjamin's face went pale. Victoria, what are you doing here? The woman's smile was sharp as glass. I heard you've been spending time with Adrian's new wife. How touching. Does she know about us? About what you did? Sophia looked between them. What is she talking about? Benjamin stood, his easy charm completely gone. Victoria, leave. Now why? Afraid she'll find out you're the reason Daniel crashed that night? The world stopped. Sophia couldn't breathe. Victoria walked closer, enjoying every moment. Benjamin called Daniel that night, right before the accident, told him that Adrian was going to cut him out of the will entirely, that their grandfather had written a clause specifically to destroy Daniel's dreams. Daniel was so upset, so distracted, that's why he took that curve too fast. That's not true. Benjamin's voice shook. I was trying to warn him, to help him. You're stirring up trouble like you always do, playing both sides. And Daniel died because of it. Sophia stood. The world tilted beneath her feet. Is this true? Benjamin reached for her. Sophia, please. It's not what she's making it sound like. She stepped back, away from his touch. Did you call Daniel that night? Silence. Did you? Yes. The word came out broken. But I didn't know he would drive angry. I didn't know. Get out, Sophia. Get out of this house now. Benjamin looked at her with devastated eyes, then turned and walked away. Victoria smiled. A poor thing. You really didn't know, did you? The Blackwells are all poison. Every single one of them. I should know. I was engaged to Benjamin before he destroyed that too. She leaned in close. Dreen knows, by the way. About Benjamin's call. He's known for months. And he let you befriend the man who helped kill Daniel? Ask yourself why. Then she was gone. Disappearing through the gate like smoke, Sophia stood in the garden, surrounded by spring flowers, felt winter settle into her bones. Edrin found her there an hour later. She didn't turn when she heard his footsteps. You knew? It wasn't a question. Yes. How long? I found out 3 months ago. After the wedding, she turned then, looked at him with eyes full of betrayal. You let me spend time with him. You let me trust him. Why? Adrian's face was stone. 'Cause I wanted you to hurt the way I hurt. To have something you thought was safe torn away from you. To know what betrayal feels like. Something inside Sophia shattered. I hate you, she whispered. I will never forgive you for this. Good, that makes 2 of us. He walked away. Leaving her alone in the garden, surrounded by the ruins of everything she thought she understood. That night, Sophia made a decision. She packed a bag. Waited until the house was dark. Crept down the back stairs toward the garage. She made it to the door before Adrian's voice stopped her. Where do you think you're going? He stood at the top of the stairs, still dressed, as if he had been waiting, away from you. Away from this nightmare? Your father's surgery is in 2 weeks. You leave now. The deal is off. Her hand clenched around her bag. You're a monster. Yes, but I'm a monster who keeps his promises. Stay until your father is well. Then you can leave. You can have your freedom, but not before. Tears ran down her face. I hope it was worth it, Adrian. I hope destroying me was everything you dreamed. She walked back upstairs, past him. Not looking at his face, in her room, she sank to the floor and cried until there was nothing left. Outside her door, Adrian stood with his hand pressed against the wood, jaw clenched, wondering when exactly he had become the villain of his own story. 2 weeks passed like years. Sophia barely left her room. Martha brought meals she didn't eat. The house felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. Her father's surgery was scheduled for Monday. Once he was stable, she would be free. She counted down the days like a prisoner marking time on cell walls. Adrian didn't try to see her, but she felt his presence everywhere, in the fresh flowers that appeared each morning, in the books left outside her door, small gestures that meant nothing and everything. Sunday night, she couldn't sleep. She wandered down to the library, seeking distraction in other people's stories. Anything to escape her own. She found Adrian there, sitting in the dark, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. She should have left. Instead, she heard herself speak. Why are you sitting in the dark? Because I deserve the darkness. She moved closer despite herself. That's dramatic, even for you. He looked up. His eyes were redrimmed, exhausted. Your father's surgery is tomorrow? I know, and then you'll leave. Yes. He nodded slowly, as if confirming something to himself. I need to tell you something. Before you go, before I lose the chance, I don't want to hear anything else from you, Adrian. I know, but you need to hear this anyway. He stood, walked to the fireplace, stared into the cold, empty hearth. The night Daniel died, he called me. Right before the crash, he was crying. Said he had fought with you and with Benjamin and with me, and he didn't know who he was anymore. He said he felt like he was disappointing everyone no matter what he chose. Adrian's voice cracked. I told him to come home, that we would figure it out together. But he said he needed to clear his head first, that he was going to take the coastal highway, watch the ocean. Remember why he loved this city? Tears slid down his face. I should have driven to him. I should have made him wait. But I was angry at him for being weak, for caring what we all thought, so I let him go. He turned to face her. The last thing my brother heard from me was disappointment. And I blamed you because I couldn't live with blaming myself. Sophia felt her own tears fall. For Daniel, for Adrian, for the waste of it all. We both lost him that night, I know. We've been punishing each other for a death neither of us caused, I know. Silence stretched between them, heavy with grief and regret and something fragile trying to take root. I don't know how to forgive you, Sophia whispered. I'm not asking you to. I just needed you to know the truth before you leave. Needed you to understand that this was never about you. It was about me running from who I really am. A man who destroys everything he touches. That's not true, isn't it? I destroyed my relationship with my brother. I destroyed any chance you and I might have had at understanding each other. I destroyed you. She moved closer, close enough to see the pain etched into every line of his face. You didn't destroy me, Adrian. You broke me. But breaking and destroying aren't the same thing. Broken things can heal. His hand lifted, almost touched her face, then fell back to his side. You should go to bed. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. She nodded, started to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth, I don't think you're a monster. I think you're a man who loved his brother and didn't know how to live with losing him. I understand that better than you know. She left him standing in the dark library, surrounded by books and grief and the ruins of what might have been. The surgery went perfectly. Sophia's father came through stronger than anyone expected. The doctors said he would make a full recovery. Sophia should have felt relief, joy. Instead, she felt hollow. She packed her things that night, the bag she had tried to leave with weeks ago. It felt heavier now, full of memories she couldn't leave behind. Martha found her in Daniel's room, standing among the paintings. Are you really leaving? I have to. He loves you, you know. Mr. Adrien. He's too broken to say it, but I've seen the way he looks at you when you're not watching. Love isn't enough, Martha. Not when it's built on hate and revenge. Maybe not, but it's a start. Martha hugged her, a brief, tight embrace that smelled like lavender and home. You'll always have a place here if you change your mind. Sophia carried her bag downstairs. The house was quiet, empty. Adrian wasn't there to see her go. Maybe that was better. She had called a car. It waited outside the gate. Freedom was 20 steps away. She made it 10 steps before the smoke alarm screamed to life. Smoke poured from the east wing, thick, black, choking. Martha appeared at the top of the stairs, coughing. Fire in Mr. Adrian's study. He's still in there. The door is jammed. Time stopped. Sophia dropped her bag. Call 911 now. She ran toward the smoke, every instinct screaming at her to turn around, to save herself, to take the freedom she had earned. But her feet carried her forward, toward the flames, toward the man who had made her life hell. The study door was hot to the touch. Smoke seeped through the cracks. She could hear coughing inside. Adrien. No answer. She grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, slammed it against the door handle. Again, the metal bent. Gave way, the door swung open. Heat and smoke blasted into her face. Adrien was on the floor, unconscious, papers burning around him. The bookshelf had fallen, pinning his leg. Sophia covered her mouth with her sleeve, dropped to her knees, crawled through the smoke. Adrien, wake up. She pulled at the bookshelf. It wouldn't move. Too heavy. The fire was spreading, eating the walls. The ceiling groaned. Adrien, please. His eyes fluttered open, unfocused, confused. Sophia, we have to go, now. She pulled again. The bookshelf shifted an inch. Not enough. Leave, he rasped. Get out, not without you. You should hate me, I do. But I'm still not leaving you here to die. She braced her feet, used every ounce of strength. The bookshelf lifted enough for him to pull his leg free. She grabbed his arm, hauled him up. Together they stumbled toward the door. The ceiling collapsed behind them. Flames roared. Heat seared her back. They made it to the hallway. To the stairs, down, out, into the night air. Fire trucks arrived. Paramedics. Chaos. Sophia watched the east wing burn. Watched firefighters battle the flames. Felt the adrenaline drain from her body, leaving her shaking. Adrian sat beside her on the grass. An oxygen mask over his face. His leg wrapped in temporary bandages. He pulled the mask down. "You've saved my life, I know. Could have left. Should have left." She looked at him. At this man who had hurt her, broken her, made her want to scream and cry, and sometimes, in quiet moments, made her feel less alone. "I know." Why? Because despite everything, despite the hate and the pain and the revenge, we're bound together by Daniel. By grief. And maybe by something else I'm too scared to name. His hand found hers. Squeezed. "I don't deserve you. No, you don't." But that's never stopped anything, has it? They sat in the grass, watching the fire burn, holding hands like two people who had survived the same war and didn't know how to live in peacetime. The paramedics insisted on taking Adrian to the hospital. Smoke inhalation. Possible leg fracture. Sophia rode with him in the ambulance. In the harsh fluorescent lights, he looked vulnerable, human, nothing like the cold, controlled man she had married. "The fire started with faulty wiring," he said quietly. "The investigators will confirm it. But I want you to know, I wasn't trying to hurt myself. I wasn't that far gone. I believe you." "Do you?" She thought about it. About everything that had passed between them. "Yes. I think you've been trying to hurt yourself since Daniel died. But not like this. Not with fire. With distance. With punishing yourself by punishing me." He closed his eyes. "You see too much. Someone has to." At the hospital, doctors confirmed his leg was broken. Second-degree burns on his arm. He would be fine. Eventually, Sophia sat in the waiting room, exhausted, smelling like smoke, and realized her bag was still sitting in the Blackwell entrance hall. She had saved the man who had made her a prisoner, and she didn't regret it. Martha appeared with fresh clothes and tea. "The fire is out. Most of the house is intact. Just the study and the rooms above it, and my bag. Still where you left it, dear? But the car is gone." Sophia nodded slowly, understanding what that meant. She had missed her window, her planned escape, and she wasn't sure if she was devastated or relieved. Adrian was moved to a private room. Sophia helped him settle in, adjusted his pillows, checked his four. "You don't have to stay," he said. "I know. You could still leave. Go back to your old life." "My old life doesn't exist anymore, Adrian." "You made sure of that, I'm sorry." It's 2 words, simple, devastating. She sat in the chair beside his bed. "I'm not ready to forgive you, but I'm not ready to leave either. I don't know what that makes us. It makes us honest. For the first time since we met." Really looked, saw the exhaustion, the regret, the fragile hope trying to survive in the ruins of everything they had destroyed. "What happens now?" "I don't know, but I'd like to find out. If you'll stay, no more revenge, no more revenge, no more punishment. Only the kind we've already inflicted on ourselves." She nodded slowly. A beginning, not a happy ending. Just a small, uncertain step towards something that might someday look like healing. Okay, his hand found hers again. This time, she didn't pull away. Outside the hospital window, dawn broke over the city. The sky was bruised with purple and gold. A new day. A second chance neither of them deserved, but both desperately needed. "Adrian." "Yes, I saw the flowers. The books. The things you left outside my door?" He looked away, embarrassed. "I didn't know how else to say I was sorry. They meant something." "I want you to know that." Squeezed her hand. They sat in silence as the sun rose. 2 broken people holding on to each other, wondering if love could grow in the ashes of hate. *6 months after the fire. The Blackwell mansion looked different. The east wing had been rebuilt, but Adrienne hadn't restored it to its former glory. Instead, he had created something new. Light-filled rooms with floor-to-ceiling windows, a studio space with northern light, just like Daniel used to sketch on napkins. For Sophia, she stood in that studio now, brush in hand, finishing a painting she had started 3 months ago. It was abstract, dark blues bleeding into violent reds. Grief and anger and hope tangled together on canvas. Healing wasn't linear. Some days she could breathe. Other days the weight of everything threatened to crush her. But she was painting again. That had to count for something. Footsteps on the stairs. Adrienne appeared in the doorway. He moved with a slight limp now, a permanent reminder of the fire. Of the night, everything changed. It's beautiful. It's angry. Anger can be beautiful. He stepped closer, studied the canvas with the intensity he brought to everything. Getting better at letting it out. Getting better at not being the reason I need to. A smile tugged at his lips. Small, genuine. She saw those more often. Now, their relationship had changed. Slowly, carefully, like two people learning to trust. A bridge that had collapsed beneath them before. No more cruelty. No more games. Just honesty. Even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. They had dinner together now. Talked. Sometimes fought. But never with the intention to destroy. Only to understand, Martha said they were like two broken vases glued back together. Not perfect. Seems visible. But somehow stronger for having shattered. Benjamin came by yesterday, Adrienne said. While you were at your father's house. Sophia's hand stilled on the canvas. Benjamin had disappeared after Victoria's revelation. Went to Europe. Sent one letter apologizing. She hadn't responded. What did he want? To make amends. He's in therapy, working through his issues. He wanted you to know he's sorry, that he never meant for any of it to happen the way it did. Do you believe him? Adrienne was quiet for a moment. I think Benjamin has spent his whole life trying to be seen by a family that only valued power. I think he made terrible choices trying to matter. And I think he's finally realizing that mattering means taking responsibility for the damage you cause. He looked at her. I understand that better than I'd like to admit. Sophia set down her brush. Walked to where he stood. Do you want me to see him? I want you to do whatever feels right to you. Not what I want. Not what anyone expects. What you need. She studied his face. This man who had been her jailer, her tormentor, who was slowly, painfully becoming something else. Something she didn't have a name for yet. I'll think about it. He nodded. Started to leave, then turned back. I spoke to my lawyer today. About our marriage? Her heart stuttered. Adrienne, let me finish. I told him to draw up papers that give you full access to your trust fund. Your father's medical care is covered for life, as promised. But you're not tied to me anymore. Financially or legally, if you want to leave, you can. No strings. Tears burned behind her eyes. Why now? Because I married you as a prisoner, and I want you to stay as a choice. If you stay at all. He moved closer. Close enough that she could feel the warmth of him, see the vulnerability in his eyes. I'm in love with you, Sophia. I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was the night you refused to disappear. Maybe it was watching you pull me from a burning building. Maybe it was every small moment in between. His voice dropped to something raw and unguarded. But I know I don't deserve you. I know I've hurt you in ways I can't take back. So I'm giving you what I should have given you from the start. Freedom. And if you choose to stay, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to become the man you deserve. Sophia's tears fell freely now. You're an idiot. Blinked. Surprised. What? You're an idiot if you think I would have stayed this long. Would have fought this hard if I didn't feel something too. Cupped his face in her paint-stained hands. I don't love you the way I loved Daniel. That was simple and sweet and easy. What I feel for you is complicated and messy and built on ruins, but it's real. And it's mine. And I'm choosing it. She pulled him down, kissed him. Not the cold, perfunctory kiss from their wedding, but something fierce and desperate and alive. He kissed her back like she was air and he had been drowning. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. I don't know how to do this. How to be someone's choice instead of their burden. Then we'll figure it out together. Like everything else, it won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is, he smiled. A real smile that reached his eyes and made him look younger, lighter, like maybe he could finally let go of the weight he had been carrying. Will you marry me? She laughed, a sound full of tears and joy and disbelief. We're already married, you impossible man. It's not like this. Not with hate and revenge. I want to marry you the right way. With love, with choice. In a garden full of wildflowers like Daniel planned for you. Her breath caught. You remembered. Remember everything about you, Sophia. Every word. Every moment. I've been paying attention since the day you refused to be a ghost. She kissed him again. Softer this time. A promise instead of a demand. Yes, I'll marry you again. For real this time. They stood in the studio. Surrounded by paintings and light and the possibility of a future neither had thought they deserved. Later that evening, they drove to the cemetery. It had taken Sophia months to be ready. But tonight felt right. They stood at Daniel's grave together. The headstone was simple, clean. His name and the dates that marked a life cut too short. Sophia knelt, placed flowers on the grass. I miss you, she whispered. Every day. But I'm learning to live with the missing instead of drowning in it. She looked up at Adrien. He stared at his brother's name with eyes full of old grief and new acceptance. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For all the ways I failed you. For making everything about what I needed instead of what you wanted. I hope wherever you are, you're painting. Creating beautiful things. Being free in ways I never let you be. He crouched beside Sophia. Took her hand. And I hope you'd understand. About us. I think you would. You always saw the good in impossible things. The wind moved through the trees. A bird sang. The world kept turning. They sat there for a while. Two people bound together by loss, choosing to build something new from the ashes. When they finally left, the sun was setting. Painting the sky in colors that looked like hope, Sophia looked at Adrien. At this complicated, damaged, beautiful man who had destroyed her and saved her and somehow become her home. Ready? He squeezed her hand with you. Always, they drove back to the mansion. To the studio with northern light. 2 dinners filled with conversation instead of silence. To a marriage that had started in winter and was finally, slowly blooming into spring. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. They carried scars that would never fully fade. Memories that still ached. Grief that would visit in quiet moments. But they had something stronger than perfection. They had choice. And truth. And love built on the ruins of hate. They had survived the fire. Both the literal flames and the ones that had burned between them. And sometimes, survival is the most beautiful kind of victory. In the studio that night, Sophia started a new painting. This one was different. Light breaking through darkness. Blues bleeding into gold. 2 figures reaching for each other across a canvas that looked like hope. Adra watched from the doorway, smiled, and thought about wildflowers. And spring weddings and second chances. Love you, he said. Sophia didn't turn around. But he saw her smile in the window's reflection. Dale, I love you too. And for the first time since Daniel died, the Blackwell mansion felt like a home instead of a tomb. Not perfect. Not easy, but real. And that was enough. The end.